Hey everybody, Jesse Slaughter with the Pursuit Podcast. And today's guests are Tara and Jason Beam of the Roadhouse Diner. This is an amazing small business story of success. Whether it be from their relationships with Central Avenue Meats to the McCafferty Ranch where they source their amazing beef and burgers, to their crazy menu or their crazy social media, you will not be disappointed in all of the hard work and sweat and tears that they put into this business to serve you and our community. This is an amazing story, and I'm so, so proud that they're here on our podcast. Stand by.
6-9 foot pursuit. Stop! Stop!
All right, guys. Tara, Jason, welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've been super excited about this episode for a while now.
Cool.
Yeah, I really am. Well, so a couple of reasons is there's two topics in Cascade County that I'm really passionate about. Mm-hmm. And no, it's not public safety. I'm sure everyone's going to go, oh, you're passionate about public safety. It's like, no, public safety is what I do. What I'm really passionate about is I love small business. I love agriculture.
Oh, great.
And
okay.
I really, really like red meat.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
So this one is, I thought this one was going to be super, super exciting. You guys probably don't know this. I don't know if you've been, I don't know how much you've been paying attention to the channel and everything, but so the Pursuit Podcast is all about the great things that are happening in Cascade County. Or if you have some type of umbrella impact, you know what I mean?
Okay.
But if you don't, you know, that's not really what the show's about. Don't get me wrong. If Tom Cruise wants to come on the show, we're probably going to have him on because I'm sure there's a bunch of people that are, you know, whatever. But the idea is mostly to keep it about local business, local issues, local agriculture, but, you know, like the great people that make the whole community run. So all the advertising dollars from this podcast go to fund the Sheriff's Legacy Foundation.
Oh, great.
So it's our foundation's fundraiser. So that's
fantastic.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's kind of how we got here. So
Sweet.
I just kind of.
Yeah, I think it's kind of funny because you don't realize what an impact you have on the community sometimes until people are like, oh my gosh, you guys, I can't believe all the things that you've done for different businesses, for different people.
Yeah.
And you look back, you're like, wow, okay, we opened in 2015. We have accomplished a lot.
And
All the best burgers in town, for Pete's sake.
Thank you. And time passes. So, you know, at the time it feels like it's slugging along, but then when you look back, it's hard to believe that, you know, we're coming up on 8 years, or we're past 8 years. So it's it gives us a lot of time. You know, we've done a lot of different promotions and we've helped different organizations and did a variety of things like that, and it just kind of adds up. But to us, because our day to day always seems normal. And it just goes on. You think, oh, it's been 8 whole years. It's been 9 years. It's been 10 years, and it just blends all together. But you kind of forget that you helped out a wide variety of people, and you met different people and talked to different people. And that's the best part about being local and being where we're at, is that we get to meet lots of different people around the community that come in and come out. And
Right.
because we've been there for so long, doing it for so long, sometimes it runs together. But it's fun to look back and on the people and organizations that we've got to, you know, help out and participate with.
Absolutely. Not to mention the fact for really good food. So
Yeah,
there's
thank
that
you.
too.
Yeah.
So let's go back. I mean, give me your quick little. How'd you guys get here? How'd this whole thing occur?
Well, let me start with way back. So Tara and I went to kindergarten together, and we actually went to Skyline, and we were the last group of students that were at Skyline before they changed their education format. So that was like, I don't know, 1979 or something like that. Well, anyway, so I have a picture of me and Tara, our class picture that we took, and we're both in it. And my mom actually was very sentimental about saving my things. And when Tara and I finally got together and we got married, that she had saved the Valentine that Tara gave me in kindergarten. So that's
awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So you guys were kindergarten sweethearts.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. We probably threw crayons at each other.
right,
And then we
wow.
went to high school together. And
That's awesome. Where'd you guys go to high school?
CMR.
CMR.
Yeah. And so we graduated 91, and it's been kind
We
of
didn't
weird,
hang out,
but we
though.
didn't hang out.
We were in two separate
Social
areas
groups. Yes.
of social groups. Yes. My mom goes, "How did you know Jason?" I said, "Well, Mom, he hung out with the fun crowd," and we just left it at that.
Yeah.
So what did you do in school, in high school? Like, what were you into? Like, what did you?
I was in band
Yeah.
and choir,
Okay.
and my dad had me join the military when I was a senior in high school, and I hunted and I fished, and in fact, I was just talking with one of our old high school mates. I said, I was no homecoming queen. I mean, I was out there with the guys. I mean, really, I was supposed to be a boy.
Right.
I came out a girl. My name was supposed to be Doug. So they named yes, it was supposed to be Doug. And I came out
Oh
of
my gosh.
Tara.
Okay, so here's the thing. In the honor of this podcast, you need to create the Doug Burger.
I do.
The Doug burger. Yeah. It's got bean dip and Fritos on it.
I was thinking like a good old juicy burger, maybe with some Gouda cheese on it. You know, something like that.
Absolutely.
Just
Absolutely.
call it the Doug.
Yeah, so I was kind of that girl that, I mean, there's a picture in our high school yearbook of me with my deer, and I took one of my girlfriends with them. Come on, we're going hunting. I mean, I took my girlfriends fishing. We go to Canada. My dad would be like, here's the boat, Tara. I'm like, all right. This is how you fish. This is how you gaff the pike, you know? I mean, I'm telling you, if we
That's
get
awesome.
stranded on an island, I'm your girl.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm
Nice.
your girl right here.
Yeah, I lucked out.
So how about you? What did you do in school?
Well, I was into art. That was pretty much that was pretty much my scene. But going around drinking beer with my friends,
Nice.
cruising Central, causing trouble at the pool
back
hall.
when they used to cruise Central.
Yeah. So
Didn't we just talk about this in another
that was-
podcast, Tim? I feel like that's okay.
Yeah, cruising Central. Playing at the Fuse Box downtown, playing
Nice.
pool, and just being juvenile delinquents is
That's
kind of
awesome.
what we were into. So that's why we were very far off from the spectrum.
I took street law.
of each other. Yeah.
I took street law because the police officer was really cute.
Yeah,
who was it?
Jake. Wasn't it Jake something? What was his name?
It was Officer Allen.
Jake Allen. That's right.
Jack Allen.
Jack Allen.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I'm gonna tease him about that forever. I'm gonna tell him that Doug had a crush on him when he was in high school.
Street law was a fantastic class. Highly recommend.
Yeah, she went to street law, and we made fun of the people who went to street law. So that was kind of
Right.
that was kind of where we
but-
were at.
She learned how to obey the law. You learned how to break the law.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
nice.
Yeah.
We got ride-alongs though in
Yeah.
high school in the
Well,
police car.
we
the
got
legal
to
way.
we got to
Got right along.
yeah. We talked with police officers. We were John Cameron knew who we were. And,
Except for Tara was in the front seat.
yeah,
was the
exactly.
difference.
Yeah. So we had, we were on the other end of
awesome.
the fun meter on that. But yeah, that's why it was always. It's kind of fun that we ended up getting together because in high school we just
I think his friends call me
weren't
Miss
around.
Goody Two Shoes.
That's awesome.
yeah.
So you went into the military, huh? So
was.
happy belated Veterans Day.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So you were in Air Force, right?
Air National Guard.
Air National Guard?
I joined when I was 17. My dad actually had a sign for me. And so I went to guard drills on the weekends and had to wear my street clothes. And then after we graduated from high school, went off to basic training. And then when I came back, then I went to college. So then I did both. I did the GI Bill.
Oh, nice.
And then I eventually got commissioned after I got my nursing degree.
Yeah.
So it was really neat to go through from that airman basic until you get your commission.
We were talking about that on the drive up here about how in our senior year that was actually a serious thing to either go to the military because that was when we invaded Kuwait. Or when Iraq invaded Kuwait, and everybody, I mean, nobody knew. That was the first really big escalation since Vietnam. And I mean, we're in high school, and high school people are like, "Oh my God, is there gonna be a draft or whatever's going on?" And it was very serious, even though within 6 months it had worked itself out. But at the time, that was it was a serious thing to join the military.
Absolutely.
Because you didn't know what was going to go on. Now we know a little bit more about what happened, but at the time it was kind of was kind of odd.
Well, it was interesting. During that time, the first time I'd ever ridden in an airplane. So everything was so new. But I remember everyone just
Because they
saying,
just invented airplanes.
because I was hunting and fishing. Hello. So when I got there, I remember them just in the words are like, Tara, just blend in, just do your thing. So I do my best to blend in. I really don't do a great job at it, I don't think. Because I ended up having to be the element leader. So now I'm in charge of all of these ladies and like, okay, this is how you measure, because we'd have to iron our underwear and, document all the serial numbers. I mean, if you wonder why I'm anal, that's part of the reason right there. But anyway, so I'm really not good at blending in. I just like to go out and do my thing, have fun, learn, and I don't know, put me in any situation and we'll figure it out.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's super cool. So how many years did you do in the military?
It was close to 10 years, I want to say.
Wow.
Something like that. But
That's a big commitment. Wow.
It was, yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's super awesome. And you were a nurse?
Yes.
And that's where you got your nursing. Where'd you go to school?
Northern.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I got my business degree first. So that one says Northern. And then my nursing degree, that's when MSU. So the other one is MSU Northern.
Hi, girl.
So both of my degrees, like, it looks like two different almost
That's
colleges
awesome.
there. But
My wife was MSU, I believe.
oh, yay.
Yeah, nursing.
That's
Oh,
fantastic.
cool.
Well, I was supposed to be a famous figure skater, but that didn't work out so well.
That's you trying to fit in, right? Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So what'd you do after school, Jason?
Well, my path was a little more closer to street level.
Right.
So we it's funny, we were having this conversation on the drive over here. We were just kind of reminiscing about that particular time in our life, and I was telling her that I kind of, looking back as I'm older, I regretted not joining the military, just because I think now as an older person, I can appreciate everything that it kind of gives you and the opportunities it opens up. And we were talking about how at the end of high school, I wanted to join the Marine Corps, but because I was an artist, there was really nothing there for me. And I remember having the conversation with the recruiter, and he's like, well, we have a great cartography program for you. And I thought, I'm not wanting to do the map thing. And
Right.
so I was really adamant. Somehow I got it in my head that I wanted to be a famous artist. I wanted to go to college, and I didn't want to go to college in Montana. I was just tired of Montana.
Oh, yeah.
So I made some kind of bad judgment calls on going to school in Montana. Ended up going to school in Denver went to college for illustration, and then I slowly started to realize that I wasn't going to end up with a job just trying to go to school to be an illustrator. And so I actually switched schools and went to what was more of a graphic design based program.
Okay.
And then after that, I moved back up here. The college I went to worked on this very specialized equipment. There was only a couple colleges in the United States that used it, so my tuition was incredibly expensive, and I couldn't actually make it through college. So I ended up having to drop out, and I moved back up here to Great Falls, which a lot of people know how that works. You come back to Great Falls or Montana with your support group, your family's here,
Right.
your friends are here, things like that, and that's just kind of what I had to do. And I came back here to regroup, and ended up getting a job kind of in advertising, and then that wasn't paying me enough, so I opened up my own comic book shop in Westgate Mall when it was actually had stuff in there, and I did that,
Yeah.
and I bounced around, and I finally got back into advertising when I went to school for, and I spent 18, 19 years doing that before we opened the diner. But it was
So where in the course of these two paths do you two come together
well,
again?
she was in Arizona, and I moved to New York City to do more freelance art stuff.
So is this like
this
right
was,
after college? Or?
No, this was 2009.
Right? And you're in Arizona. What are you doing in Arizona?
I was a stay-at-home mom. mom.
Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I came back in 2009, went through a divorce, and came back here and started working in the ER.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
everything I learned was really not in kindergarten. It was in the emergency department.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when you were a nurse.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
No, it was.
I do. Because I remember when you started the business, I was like, I was like, I know her. And then I was like, oh yeah. And it just took me like 2 seconds to put it together. But I remember as a police officer going in and out of the ER when you were down there.
Gosh, that was in fact, that's actually how the Roadhouse came to fruition, was because of me working in the ER.
Okay, tell me that story.
So for years, he had a little file. He's very organized. And
Well, yeah, and to go back a little farther, my grandfather had a restaurant, and it was called Young's Cafe, and it was actually in the old Bert and Ernie's building.
Okay.
So my grandfather was Greek, and he was very good friends with the Duranuses, who owned the grocery store, which at the time, Bert and Ernie's is kind of a bigger building, but it used to be a grocery store and a cafe.
Oh, wow.
And so the Duranuses owned the grocery store, which I think it was the Pacific Grocery. I can't quite remember. And then my grandfather ran his Young's Cafe on the other side of it. And so the Young's Cafe sign is actually still in there, which it's not a Kellergeist, but the sign is still there of my grandpa's old restaurant. So growing up, I'd heard about stories about my grandfather and just that he, had his own place and everything else. And I kind of took a shine to working in restaurants. I worked in restaurants when I was in high school and when I was in college and when I was out of college. So it was kind of a career path that, I wanted to be in art, but it was like if you learn how to cook, you'll always have a job.
Right.
So I had that. And so that was always kind of on the back burner. And I always told myself that someday I'm going to be so sick of computers that I'm going to want to go flip hamburgers for a living. And I've told myself that since I was like in my 20s. So like she said, I had this file. So I've been working and researching and studying local restaurants.
I think what he's missing is that every time we drove down 15th, he would be like, "That's the building I want, right there. That's the building."
Oh, I love
and
the
it was
one-
that little
the
log cabin.
The one you're in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
What was it
oh my
before
gosh.
you guys?
It was originally.
It's Cajun barbecue.
Well, yeah, it was
Yeah.
a Cajun barbecue
That's right.
place.
That's
Originally, it was Pine Cone Patio, which I grew up a couple blocks away. My grandma's house was a couple blocks away from it, so I would go there, and they'd have at the time they had ice cream and little treats and stuff, and I would go there and with my grandma get an ice cream cone, and so I always kind of knew it was there, but we saw it, and I always felt nostalgic because I spent a lot of my childhood in that neighborhood, and and it's just it's a neat building. We always talk about how you can't build that kind of character into a new building.
No.
The character's just there, and I just always liked that building. So anyway, we'll flash forward to when we actually pulled the pin on it.
Well, what had happened is just we're not guaranteed tomorrow.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing the ER taught me. And I thought, oh my gosh, if my husband doesn't do what he wants to do, there's no what ifs. Like, we're doing this. So I got a hold of a realtor and I said, Jason, we're going for a drive.
So hold on, before you go there, you skipped over the part where you guys get together.
Oh,
Yeah, one
I
of you's
guess
in
we
New
did,
one
didn't
of you's in New York and one's in Arizona.
Yes.
And we never see. I'm paying attention.
So-
You don't think I?
You're
no one
keeping-
thinks
you're-
I.
you're
no
keeping-
one
you're
thinks I
keeping it
pay
linear.
attention. I'm totally paying attention. But I want to hear this story.
So
I'm curious.
in 2009, my friend Susan, she had moved away, and her husband.
So where in Arizona are you? Sorry.
I'm in Anthem, which is just outside of Phoenix.
Okay. And where in New York are you?
I'm in the Bronx.
Okay. All right. Cool. I gotta set the stage here. Let's
So
go.
she's like, Tara, you really need to join the Facebook. I'm like, oh, I don't know what the Facebook is.
Facebook.
I know. And I'm like,
The
okay.
book face, as I call
So I join, and then another mutual friend, one of his friends was like, hey, she's going to be in town. And I don't know. I think you just started messaging me or something.
Yeah, I mean, I was in New York, and I was just doing freelance work, so I was at my desk like most of the day, and I don't know whether she popped up or I saw her or whatever. I'm like, oh, I remember that girl, and we just kind of started having this little conversation, and I was coming back. I was kind of nearing the end of my time in New York, so she was coming up to visit family in Great Falls, and I was actually going back to Great Falls to go talk to my boss because he wanted me to come back to work for him at Walker Design Group.
Okay.
And so that we had that little meetup when we both there, and then we went back to she went back to Arizona, I went back to New York, and then
Packing up our stuff.
yeah, 2 months later I was packed up
Came
and
back here.
moving back to Great Falls.
I think it was like a week apart. It was really.
Yeah, it was really close. Yeah, we
Wow.
It was.
it's kind of funny. We just
Now, are you guys talking this whole time?
yeah. Oh yeah, nonstop. Just like everything, you fall for somebody and you're
He has
on
a
the
great
phone
voice.
constantly.
Well, he said
His voice is amazing. I always said he should be on radio. He has a great voice.
Yeah.
And
We'll let Tim be the judge of that.
You can do it. You can do it. I gotta do my voice, obviously.
yeah, so I started working here, and we hung out, and then I started dating, I guess.
It was quite salacious because she moved right in. She came to town and she moved right in, and it was great because I always say that.
I always love it when husband and wives have different versions of the same story.
Well, he's not 100% wrong.
Yeah, we loaded up her suitcase.
That's
brought her
your
upstairs.
comeback. That's your comeback to the whole thing. Is well, he's not 100% wrong.
Yeah, I'm like 0.5% wrong.
Yeah.
Jason,
Okay,
Jason, I think you're telling an accurate depiction of this.
Yeah,
story.
I
pretty
believe so.
much
But
it is pretty
I
much.
always like to say that Tara moved in when we got together, and we've been together ever since. Everybody kind of goes to work and does their whole thing, but I mean, I'm very fortunate that I met the love of my life and my soulmate, and I knew it from day one because everything. We just been together. We've been together.
He
and
liked
now we
my
have
cooking. Come on now, my dear steaks are amazing.
you guys are looking at me. So when I moved back here from New York, I was 195 pounds. I was like half.
I think I was like teeny tiny as well.
And so she starts making me meals and stuff, and I'm like, I'm living in New York. I'm broke, so I'm eating saltines and butter, and I'm eating like one slice of pizza every day.
This is a public service announcement. If you want to gain weight,
Yeah.
hire me.
Yeah. So I pack on the pounds, and kind of just you get to the fat and happy part, and that was okay because I grew up Greek. I mean, I was I was chubby during childhood because I ate food. I love food.
That is a true thing. That's a true thing. When my wife actually started cooking for me, a true story. I was at you guys remember the wine and they still have it, the wine and food festival, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm with my wife and I go there and I run into this girl that I dated like previously. And this is so funny. And we bump into each other. She looks at me. I look at her, and I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm good. And I said, "Oh yeah, I'm married now. I've got a kid. I'm super, super happy." And she looks down at me, and she looks up. She goes, "Yeah, you look like it." Walks away. Oh. And I'm like, yeah, okay, this is true.
That is a sick burn.
Yeah, I didn't care. I didn't care. I was happy. I was like, yeah, whatever. Yeah.
I think that person might not be happy.
What do you think? I would agree.
They're gonna scald somebody
So
like that.
you're here in Great Falls, and you guys are living together, and like, what are you guys doing when you come back?
Oh, when we moved back, so she was.
I kind of worked a little bit in the Great Falls Clinic, and then at Benefits, I was actually working both jobs because at that time the clinic was kind of regrouping and reestablishing, and went to work right away in the ER there. And I'd been a stay-at-home mom, so I was like, okay, I can do this.
The ER you're talking about in Benefits, right?
Correct.
Yeah, because there wasn't one then.
Correct. Not in the clinic.
Oh, the clinic.
So what are you doing at the time?
I went back to work at Walker Design Group. I was an art director there doing advertising and stuff. And then eventually I got back into working at MSU, Great Falls College. I was an instructor in their graphic design program.
Oh, cool.
So I was kind of doing that, at night. And then, I had my normal day job and just kind of plugging away, doing art-related stuff, which was what my profession was at the time.
I remember we wanted new kitchen equipment in our house. And so I started selling my cookies and cakes, and he designed the coolest little packaging. And so we made money that way and bought our kitchen appliances.
That's nice.
Yeah, we
Yes.
we had to
Did it get creative?
Yeah, we had to get creative. I mean, and even boiling down to the business by the time it came around that we were going to make that plunge. I mean, I had to. I was working my day job. I was working at the school. I was doing freelance work. I mean, we had to come up with a bunch of money for the down payment, and so it required some extra
I'm going to
hustling.
stop you there, though. So what had happened, though, is I took him on that little drive, and we pull up to the building, and I said, all right, we're gonna buy this building. I don't know how we're gonna do it, but we're gonna figure it out. We go in there. He's like, what? I said, we're gonna figure out how to buy this building. We're gonna do it. And he's like, okay. And now he's just to the point. Now he's like, well, Tara, this is what we're gonna do. You're gonna figure it out. I'm like, I'll figure it out. Absolutely. You give me.
So
I'll figure it out.
So is this before or after you had a realtor?
After we had what?
The realtor, because you said you hired a realtor.
Yes. So we had them so they could take us through it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're buying it. We'll
Nice.
figure it out. We'll figure
Nice.
it out. And he actually
Took a lot of figuring out.
did take a lot of figuring.
Yeah, that was a huge learning process.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. So and a lot of people are in that boat. I mean, you have to be very self-reliant and self-starting because you've got to do there's just a lot of investigative work. You've got to, we had to work with the SBA. We had to figure things out. I had to do a business plan. I mean, my background in marketing really helped out, I think, more than I thought it would, just being able to communicate and let people know what we were doing, and then also open up some avenues where I could do some freelance.
Doing like stakeouts, like how many cars are driving by
Oh yeah, geez, the guy.
Smart. That's smart.
to make sure.
Well, the guy across the street. So I'm parked there, and this is at 7:00 in the morning. This is pretty early. So the whole time I'm having to do some of this stuff, and because it's a month-long process, I'm still having to go to work. So it's not like I had a bunch of time off before setting up the business. So I would pull up across the street from where the diner's at 7 a.m. And then my plan was I'd sit there and I'd count how many cars went by, because you can get traffic information from Department of Transportation, but it's only in certain areas.
Right.
So I wanted to see how many cars exactly were driving by the diner, because I'm trying to formulate, what's my advertising, what's my exposure, how's the street traffic working. And so I'm sitting there in my car and I'm hash marking every time somebody drives by. And then the guy comes out of the house I'm parked in front of, and he knocks on the window. He's like, "What are you doing here?" I said, "I'm counting cars." He's like, "Don't you think that's a little creepy?" I said, "Well, I can see how it would look creepy." I said, "But I mean, there's a reason that I'm doing this. I'm trying to buy this building." He's like, "Yeah, whatever." And then walks away and goes back inside. Now, this is all transpiring at like 7:30 in the morning. And I was like, oh my God. And I'd go to different restaurants and I'd park in front of them and on my lunch break because I had to go see how busy another restaurant was at lunch. So I'd spend my lunch there and I'd make notes and stuff like that. And I mean, I did that for, I don't know, months. Just because the process was taking so long between doing the business plan and getting the approval and everything else. I couldn't stand sitting there waiting. I had to
we got one
research.
last trip in. We have not taken a vacation together since we opened the diner. Our last trip was to Spokane, and we went to this Edgar Allan Poe, and he bid on the painting and won it.
Nice.
So that was our last trip.
They had an auction for this painting that was being drawn during the Edgar Allan Poe performance, and so we bid on that, and it was kind of fun to have a little memento. It's on our wall in our bedroom. It's like it's the last time we were on vacation.
And I think people, when we first said what we were doing, thought we were absolutely crazy. I mean, I always say we're all walking ICD-10 codes, right? But they were like, you guys are a little extra. And then the first week we opened was insane. In fact, one of our original servers is still with us, and she was so mad at me. She's like, "You said a soft opening, Tara, and you put it on your Facebook. Do you know how many Facebook friends you have?" I'm like, "No." we were so bombarded. We're
It
like,
was- it
what
was
did
insane.
we just do to
I
ourselves?
I came in that first week. I'll never forget.
I apologize
Oh,
to,
yeah.
for all the people who came in because it was,
it was fine.
gosh.
So what year was that? I don't remember.
2015.
2015.
2015. Yeah. Yeah. I remember we heard about it because we were all, I was a detective at the time, and we'd all go to lunch together. So we were sitting around one day and we were like, hey, there's this new place. It's called the Roadhouse. Let's go check it out.
Yeah.
And I think we'd seen your stuff on Facebook. I was like, oh yeah, burgers. Let's go.
We
Went down
did
there.
breakfast and burgers. I remember going.
Yeah.
We would, when we're trying to open it up, I'd work night shift. You know, we did 7 on and 7 off. So I remember getting off shift, and I would lay like the chairs because we had to clean up, and I would just lay there and try and get a few Z's in before I started having to.
Oh
clean.
yeah, we slept in that diner many times.
It was like a lot, but
That's awesome.
yeah. So it was, it was a crazy opening that I think we underestimated.
So talk to me about the diner, and like how much stuff did you guys have to buy once you bought it? Like
So we're pretty
kitchen stuff. Like
frugal, I would say.
Yeah, we
are
were
very
well, and we were broke. We had
Right.
all the money was
Yeah.
going towards the down payment of the loan, and then that was to buy the building and buy what equipment was in there. And so the equipment that was in there, and I was going into this with real basic restaurant experience. I mean, I'd run a restaurant. I mean, I knew how to clean fryers. I knew how to clean the flat tops and things like that. But I didn't, you don't know everything. And so we got in there, and a lot of the equipment was just hammered. And, Tara said, okay, the grill is our moneymaker. We have to buy a new one of those. So we would spend money on one thing, and then we'd have to go this whole time before we even got in there. I was buying used containers off of eBay, like plastic steam table containers and things. I mean, I was trying to buy used equipment wherever I could find it, for $5 instead of spending $20.
oh yeah,
on it.
absolutely.
a coffee
so-
grinder came from eBay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we had to do things like that, and our family helped out. Tara's
maker.
parents bought us an ice maker. My mom bought me an iced tea machine, and Dad helped me with some construction in there. And so we had we had help from our family, but it was really a razor thin budget when it came to opening. I mean, we were peeling potatoes by hand.
Yeah.
I mean,
A
hundreds.
picture of Caitlin,
Yeah.
my daughter, just like.
And this isn't just like a bucket of potatoes. This is hundreds of pounds every day that we had to peel by hand because we couldn't afford a potato peeler.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It was,
That's awesome.
yeah, it was a long road, and it was really rough.
Oh,
It was,
serving-
yeah.
Serving customers, being making the soups from scratch. I mean, we were coming up with specials. You were trying to find time to do the design work, and there was just like no downtime. It was go time.
There's you'll hear people say that they've worked 18 hours a day, or they got to work 17 hours a day, and I had to work that place 17 or 18 hours a day for probably the first 3 months. I thought it was just going to kill me. I thought, I don't have to worry about this place. Will put me in the ground. I was getting there at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I wasn't getting home until like 10 o'clock at night. Because it was everything. I had to do everything because we couldn't afford another employee. I mean, that's the sacrifice
Absolutely.
of having that business. And
Well, that's also the restaurant business too. I mean, there's an old saying, and my mom owned 2 restaurants when I was a kid in Bozeman, and if the owner is not there, it starts losing money immediately. Like they say that that's you have to be there, you have to be present.
yeah, I love all my guys and all the people that work for us, but it's a big thing for me to be there every day. I'm there every day.
We're so invested into it. I mean, when you put your money on the line and your everything, that's a motivation right there.
Yeah. And I've taken business risks before, when I was younger and did things, I opened up my comic shop and I did freelance, I did that stuff. I mean, and it all didn't work out. And the diner has worked out well for us because, we put a ton of hard work into it, but that makes me not want to leave it. Like I won't,
Yeah.
I have left town for 3 days in 8 years because I won't leave that place. That place is just we put everything into it, and I want to be there for it, be there for customers, and that's just how I look at it.
So why burgers? Talk to me about the food choice. What was and the whole creativity that you guys have with it? I'm curious.
Yes. So when we're kind of in the research and development phase of it, I remember I went down to Arizona and went to a bunch of different restaurants, tried to do the local, like everything, like what are they doing down here to learn. And I remember calling him like, we have to grind our own meat. Like we have to have it fresh. I mean, I had some and it was the most amazing, like, because I would get a bunch of different things so I could test it out to say, can you taste the difference? Oh my gosh. So he goes, yeah. So we had this like tiny little meat grinder because we did breakfast and lunch when we first opened.
We had our kitchen set up with all our equipment, and I found like a thrift store like Fry Daddy, so we could play around with our French fries and stuff. And again, like we were operating on the shoestring budget, but I had all this time between the approval process from SBA that we had to work on stuff. Yeah. So we had all this stuff laying around the kitchen, and we ground our own beef, and we were trying to figure out the cuts on the fries, and how thick to make the fries, and we just got on. Yeah, she really liked the burgers. I could tell the freshness of when you do a couple grinds on beef, and just how flavorful it was.
And we really wanted to do as much Montana as we possibly could. And that came in steps. It just didn't all of a sudden come right there. It came with time.
Yeah.
And a lot of time, if you have time and patience, it'll pay off.
Absolutely.
And it really did, because now, I mean, it's beef from 30 miles away from where we live, and the buns.
So where do you get your beef?
McCafferty Ranch.
Okay.
Yeah. So awesome. they supply the beet to Central Avenue Meats, and then Drew gets us does our blend for us, and then brings it to the diner, and then we grind it.
I'm gonna have Drew on later this week.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Yeah. Yes, and then
we're excited about that.
You asked about specials, and sometimes we like to do collaborations kind of with some other Montana businesses, and sometimes it might be inspiration from something you read or a movie, or sometimes it's a flavor profile. So that comes in all different avenues. If you just open your eyes, look, listen, taste, touch, feel, everything, and then it just comes to you. And sometimes you have too many ideas, and you try and figure out, okay, what's going to be first? How are you going to implement this?
Then you got to schedule them out.
Yes.
To fit. And that's a nice thing about doing. I'm into pop culture stuff, so it makes coming up with themes for the special a little more fun.
That's awesome.
To do for for nerds and geeks and people who are just
Your
into
artwork
stuff.
Rocks, dude.
Yeah, thank you.
Totally rocks.
And I get to keep my skills sharp by doing stuff. I do little mini, almost look like it's a mini ad campaign for each special. And
awesome.
some weeks I get extra time. Some weeks I don't have a lot of time, but I get to get that creative promotional thought process going of what I did in my previous career, and I get to do that with the diner.
That's
and
awesome.
so I get a lot of enjoyment out of that.
Well, one of the things that's really unique about your business is that that shows your guys' passion for it and your creativity.
Oh, well, thank you.
It shows.
I'm glad it's.
It totally. I mean, like there's tons of places we can go to and go get a burger.
Right.
You know? And a burger is a burger, right? I mean, but you guys, it's so much more than that, and you can tell it too.
It's an art form.
Well, I think it's more. I agree with you. It is, but I also think it's more than that. I mean, you can just see how committed you guys are to what you're doing.
Well, it's from the moment that they pull into that parking lot, just everything. And then when we have servers and you come in, and my goal is for when they come in to make you feel like you're warm and welcome and you have a good meal. Like you're just coming into our house. We're going to make you the best meal of your life, and you're going to leave so happy. And if you come in, crab salad, you're going to leave happy.
Right.
Like that's always the goal, is to just come in and just have that full like yay experience.
Absolutely.
We really want to. We've got several components that we focus on, and coming in, having a good time, getting a good experience, getting good food. And those are all the things, and make sure that if we do that to you this week, that if you come back in a month, that you get that same level of service. And that's the challenge when you're just a mom and pop.
Right.
And you have one place, and we'd entertained opening up a second location or doing a franchise and all that stuff. And it always came down to we would have to sacrifice what people get at the Roadhouse. And that's not worth it to me. I mean, it's real easy to say, oh, well, it's not worth it to me. And I don't care how many zeros you put on it. But honestly, it's not worth it to sacrifice everything we've put all our hard work into just to have, a second restaurant or a franchise or whatever might come of that. It's not worth sacrificing our dedication that we have to our business just to maybe have more of something that's monetary.
Right.
And it's easy to say that from where we're at because we own the business. So that's kind of, it's almost like a party line thing to say. But we really mean that's important to us for the Roadhouse.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We're going to come right back in a second, but let's let our supporters get their moment here. So stand by one. Your health journey is as unique as you are. The Peak Great Falls has everything you need for your fitness journey. They are your partner in wellness with a top-notch facility, an expert staff, and a very welcoming vibe. Locally owned, community-driven. Join them today. Everybody needs a good insurance plan. Whether it's for home or auto insurance, check out Heinbaugh Agency. Eric Heinbaugh is a local agent focused only on customer service, not sales. The Double Barrel Cafe is all about you, the amazing people of Cascade County. With every purchase you make, they give back to our community. Every bite and sip fuels their mission. Let's make a positive change, one cup and one bite at a time, because the Double Barrel is not just a cafe, they're building a better community. If you haven't noticed lately, Cascade County is booming, and the choice for all your construction needs is Builders First Source. They even have an automated home builders solution for all of your construction needs. Go to 826 Northwest Bypass in Great Falls and check them out today. Are you looking to replace those floors in your home? Or maybe you're doing new construction? The place I trust is Contract Flooring Carpet One. This is a locally owned and operated business here in Great Falls, and they are committed to serving you and giving you the very best prices and the very best product and service. Go see Contract Flooring Carpet One today. When deciding who I would trust for the technology component of this podcast, the choice was simple: Information Systems of Montana. Whether purchasing products for business or when I had them build me a new MacBook to catch child predators, they delivered, creating a solution for my exact needs. Contact Information Systems of Montana today. If you're passionate about firearms and the Second Amendment like I am, one of the best places in all of Montana to go is Mitchell Supply. Jim and Tammy Mitchell have been running this gun store for decades. They're major supporters of the Second Amendment, and they're major supporters of our community. And obviously, they're supporters of this podcast. For all your firearms needs, go check out Mitchell Supply today. And we're back. And so during the break,
Give away everything off podcast.
we pretty much had, I don't know, like what was that, 2 minutes long? I think we had a whole second podcast. Tim, did you record it all so we can just make it another podcast?
No.
Okay, all right. So anyway, we're back. So when we were offline, we were talking about gardening. We were talking about bees. We were talking about permaculture. Did I say it right?
You did.
Okay, good. All right. I didn't. That was a new thing to me. So talk to me about these passions and where this stuff comes from.
So coming from the food environment side of it, I really feel it's important that we know where our food comes from. We're going to get better flavor. We're going to learn how to grow it ourselves. It's better for the environment, great for our bodies, because fresh is best, right?
Right.
So I've been studying more of the permaculture with Michael Hogue and how to do keyhole gardens. And then planted a bunch of walking Egyptian onions, so those will propagate on their own, so I won't have to do that again. And I can give you guys some, and you can plant some. And it's just having the environment work for you, for your food source, and to ultimately help your family.
So what else besides onions? I don't like onions. So what else can you permaculture?
So amaranth is another one. And you kind of have to look at for people that are not in Montana, you'll have to look at your environment.
Okay.
But like onions, of course, and garlic are
I like garlic.
staples
Garlic's good. Yeah.
of doing that.
Awesome.
But so if you keep those, they actually ward off pests too. So even if you don't eat them, they're great because they'll keep those pests away from, say, your tomatoes.
Okay.
Things that they want to go after that you might like, or cucumbers.
Wow.
Or corn.
Or corn, yes. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So it's
super
really, and I'm pretty new into this. I've also been doing a lot of learning where to use our plants and use them on the medical side of our bodies as well.
Awesome.
For pain, and maybe if people are having some sadness or, where they just need a little kickstart. So using what our environment has given to us in nature to better ourselves.
Oh yeah, it's. I totally agree with you. I'm big into eating fresh foods, and one of the things that's crazy is I eat lots of raspberries. I love raspberries, but first of all, they're super expensive, and second of all, if you ever get them in the grocery store, it's really hard to wash that pesticide off of them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because they're so coarse.
And but the other thing is they're coarse. You're right, but they're also so fragile. So
yeah.
you can't aggressively really wash them. All you can really do is rinse and hope, right?
Yeah.
So I've actually gone to frozen raspberries because they don't put that stuff on the frozen ones.
I didn't know that.
And so, you just have to thaw them, which is and not the end of the world. But it's so hard to get any food without a ton of hormones, a ton of chemicals, a bunch of. Now, do you guys?
And you can actually get raspberry bushes, and they'll grow.
Oh, I have.
Oh,
I have huge.
perfect.
I have huge raspberry bushes.
Perfect. Oh, nice.
But they don't produce enough for me.
I get that.
But the other thing I was going to ask you too is so through the meat that you get from Central Avenue Meats and McCafferty Farms, how did you guys vet them to know what's going in to your beef and stuff? I'm sure you guys did.
Yeah. So we talked with
Joel
McCafferty. Thank you. I was blanking on his name. Anyway, we talked with Joel and wanted to set something up. Our biggest problem was with local ranchers was being able to get a consistent blend of meat, but get it in the amounts that we need at the diner, because I didn't want to have to try and find different sources and stuff like that. Well, Joel said that he was very confident that he could supply us with the amount that we needed. And then he invited us to come to his ranch and look at his hydroponic farm that he uses to feed his animals all year long. And it's really an unbelievably impressive operation he has up there. And it's one of a kind, at least in the United States, what he does. And Drew is actually going to probably talk more about that when you talk with him. But it's his family, and I can't remember, he's 6 generations, I think, of McCafferty ranchers. And it's just, he's right there in Belt, and we just really hit it off with him. And we tried the meat, they brought some down, and we liked Drew's operation at Central Avenue Meats, and it was really just a really good fit, not only personality-wise, but quality-wise. And I felt that they had the same level of passion and commitment to their product that we had, and that's when you have that with somebody, that's where you can make a good partnership.
Yeah, they're grass-fed, sprout finished, and they're a GAP 4. So
What's that?
That's where they're like humanely treated, and they talk about, it goes into more of like antibiotics and whatnot. Megan McCafferty, their daughter, is fabulous and can explain all of that. She actually does a fantastic job documenting like what they're doing and the rational basis as to why at McCafferty Ranch on the Instagram. So if anyone wants to learn more about animals and how,
I think I need to have them on.
absolutely,
For sure.
Oh yeah, they're a great family, and they are
Absolutely.
super knowledgeable about what they do. And
Amazing.
Yeah, we're very fortunate that we forged that partnership with them, because I believe that's our best product, and that beef is dry aged that we get from Central Avenue Meat. It's got
It's all ribeyes, right? And then you grind it into.
it's
yes, absolutely.
it's a secret blend. We don't tell anyone, but man, it is just so good. And I always recommend people go down there. even if a person who hasn't, if you go to Albertsons and you get a ribeye and you like the taste of it, you need to go down and get a ribeye from Central Avenue Meats and taste what a ribeye that is not that old and taste what that feels like. And they're starting to carry pork. I don't know when, I don't want to speculate too much, but they're getting into pork.
Right.
And just this year was, I think, the first time I'd ever had fresh pork. Like
We bought a
yesterday he was
4-H.
on the farm and today he's on my plate, that kind of pork. And it is unbelievable, the difference. It is like the difference between listening to a cassette and listening to a CD. That's the difference in your mouth between pork that comes from a grocery store and pork that is fresh from your farm and ranch. It is unreal.
Yeah, no doubt. I have no doubt at all. That's amazing. I love this story. And one of the other things I love is I like this direct connection. Because remember when we started, I said, well, I'm really passionate about agriculture and small business.
Absolutely.
And there is such a close connection between all these.
Absolutely.
Back to you guys and what you're doing. And it's exciting because I also love I like the local dependency.
Yeah.
I think I like it when local businesses are dependent upon other local businesses to stay in business, because then we all become like one big family.
It's our community.
Yeah, exactly.
And we
community.
take care of
Right.
each other.
Right.
And
It's
even
amazing.
Great Harvest, they're the ones that bake our buns fresh every
Yeah.
day.
Oh yeah, that
And they do a phenomenal.
place smells so good. I just love
Yeah.
that place.
Right, right.
Well, and it even goes past that too, because these are the businesses that hire people locally
Right.
and try to give them a way of life so they can stay in the community and stay as a valued employee for the business. I mean, it's a big combination of things that goes on between the
Well, and
local
having
businesses.
all of the owners right here. I
Right.
mean, all the owners, the workers, like, this is it. We're right here in the community.
That's amazing. No, it's super cool. So, talk me through what is the biggest stressor of owning a small business, particularly a restaurant, from your guys' point of view?
I was gonna say it's probably different for both
Yeah,
of us.
no, I
because
I figured it would be.
Yeah, she's
So-
front of house and I'm back of house, and I think we probably have different
Yeah.
stressors. I'll let you go first.
Well, I never look as anything as, no, I always take everything in and figure it out and problem solve. So I think it's making sure that we're still consistent with the customer service up front, and we're not real big on waste. So how do we get everyone to not be wasteful, especially with the price increases that we've seen too? And do we really need a stack of napkins for one hamburger? You know, it's just kind of those things, like to educate maybe the customers as well, because they don't consider that, because they
Right.
don't have to pay that. You know, they know
No.
they're paying this.
No, they don't understand it.
So it's kind of like figuring out like how to educate them without making them feel, you know, bad,
Right.
or whatnot.
When it's funny you mentioned that. So when my mom was in the restaurant business, we owned this steakhouse downtown Bozeman. It's where Burger Bob's is now.
Yeah.
It used to be called the Slaughterhouse.
Oh yeah.
Go figure, right?
Yeah.
And I remember I used to have to work there when I was like a young kid, and I'd have to like occasionally I could wait a table, but mostly what I did was like bus tables and do all the grunt
Yeah,
work.
all the grunt work. Yeah.
And I remember she would have dispensers for condiments, and these little tiny circular, dishes, right? These
yeah.
little metal
Your little portion
dishes,
cups.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you'd squeeze it in there, and someone said, "I want ketchup." You squeeze it in there, and you set it down. Right. Well, when you were the little runner, it was hell, because they would be like this, like, "I want more," and you'd run back and get more. So finally one day I'm like, "Mom, let's just go get some ketchup and some mustard and set it on their table." And she's like, "No, that's all of our money going in the garbage, because they will take that thing and they will squeeze it and put this big old
She is
plate."
not wrong.
She's not
Yeah.
wrong. Like there's artwork sometimes drawn. And you're like,
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
and that's money, and that's
Yeah,
money
and
going out the door.
I think if we work better on perspectives of other people, I really think as a whole, we'll all benefit from that.
Yeah, and it goes past the money thing. It's wasteful just for the sake of waste. And I know it might sound overly hippie-ish, but to get that bottle of ketchup requires, equipment being run, people being, getting tomatoes, you have transportation, you have all this stuff going into it. Don't waste it.
Right.
Don't just arbitrarily waste ketchup.
Right.
Because you can.
Just because you can and you live in America. There's more to it than, you just cost me an extra 30 cents. And people say, oh, it's only 30 cents. But there's something else. There's something else to that, because if you're wasteful in that area, you're wasteful in other areas. And then that becomes a cascading issue of how wasteful are you in your life when you have that mentality. And then of course this is when my wife's like, oh my God, here he goes again. And I think about things like that, and I will occasionally bus. So sometimes when it's busy on Friday night, and all the guys are rocking on the line, and I'm just kind of back there making sure everything's going smooth. It'll be busy, and the girls will stack up trays, and then I'll start bussing them. And then that's when I see the ketchup, and then I get this 1,000-yard stare. I'm like, oh my God, who's wasting this ketchup? And then I put stuff away, and then I get into that mentality, which my wife goes, oh my God, there he's going.
No,
off.
I think
that's just how. Well,
there's
a
ketchup shortage now, so now we're dealing with that.
So now there's a serious, legit
yes.
tomato and ketchup shortage.
Yeah, because they were having some with coming back from 2020.
Oh, this is going to cause riots.
Yeah, which this goes into why
this is
stressors.
ketchup.
This is like ketchup, you guys. I know.
There's nothing
it's the
more.
tomato
There's nothing more
production.
American.
Yeah, tomato production.
production.
And then that's what leads into what my stressor is in the back. So,
Which is what?
well, a lot of people, a lot of business owners would say their biggest stressor is employees. But I look at that as that's a temporary stressor. So the way I kind of define my stressors is what are the things that just continually never get resolved? That's a stressor to me. You can always, you go through employees and eventually you get a good one, and you keep them for a while and you hope that it works out. But even when you have to hire and you're frustrated about hiring, that's a temporary stressor. The longevity of the problem with the supply chain issues we have and have had for 3 years. I mean, I can't, like this week, I can't get ketchup. I can't get onions. Well, last week it might have been mustard. The week before that it was sugar. It's something. It's the constant inability. And I'm not ordering 1,000 pounds of ketchup. I just need a box of ketchup, man.
Right.
And you can't get me a box of ketchup. What is going on in the world? And
It's with the toilet paper.
yeah,
It is
and
with
I have this discussion with my dad. I'm like, Dad, I say, you're just a guy. You're retired, and you just kind of do your thing. I said, you don't see all the things that I see in this supply chain. I said, what kind of world are we headed to when we have problems getting ketchup? I mean, that's such a basic thing, and it's half high fructose corn syrup. How is there a problem to get ketchup and
Goes
things
back
like
to
that?
agriculture.
Yeah, and it comes back to, I think maybe our world is in a little worse shape than most people think it is, because those people that think everything's okay are not dealing with day-to-day infrastructure issues. They go to work, they come home, they take their kids to soccer on the weekends, and they don't have to order things. They don't have to deal with stuff like that. And that's my stressor. I mean, I have to maintain where the food comes in from the restaurant all the time. And that is always a stressor because there's always problems with the supply chain.
Well, one of the issues I think you guys are up against that most people who might be watching right now won't understand, So like every year we're coming to election year up at the sheriff's office, we'll run into ammo shortages every year because everybody panic buys ammo. Right. Doesn't matter who's in office, doesn't matter. They just all, somebody's going to get elected and take away our guns and ammo. So they just go out and buy it. Well, the thing about it though, is I can plan for that and I can buy more ammo in advance and then, live through that year.
Right.
Because it doesn't perish, right? Well, at least it won't in a year.
Right.
Right. But you guys are dealing with food and you're in the fresh food business, not in the old stale frozen burger a business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you might be able to buy an extra box of ketchup. That might be something you could make, but not many other things.
Yeah, I can't stockpile it.
Yeah, because we had the sriracha. That was
Oh, yeah, the
before
sriracha shortage, yeah.
and then
That was a self-imposed shortage by the Moi Fong company. They did that to themselves, and it took a little research. But the reason that people are having problems getting sriracha is because those guys tried to screw over their pepper distributor, their contract. So they created their own problem, but it was still coming all the way down to the diner. We had to figure out, well, we have sriracha mayo. How am I going to make sriracha mayo now? And how am I going to do it consistently?
Right.
And so we had to go try a bunch of different srachas and figure out what our alternative was.
they
Because
are not all created equal.
yeah, because
I have no doubt.
because the
I have no
Moi
doubt.
Fong sriracha, if it comes back, it's going to come back in limited quantities, and we can't.
You know what the
can't pay
worst
for
part
it.
about that is? That sucks for you guys if that happens. So let's say you find something as good or close. Here's the problem that I would feel this would stress me out. It's not that they would taste it and then you could explain, sorry, our sriracha is different. The burger would not taste good to them.
No,
Yeah.
it would be
So
like something
that's all they'd
different.
remember. And there's a psychology to
Yeah,
that. Or like, remember the last time we had a bad burger? We're out. You know what I mean?
And it's an element that we couldn't control.
Yeah.
You know, that we couldn't improve, and that is some of the things that we think about. We think about that's more my my previous job profession is understanding the marketing and the psychographics of how people work and spend money in their with their expendable income. And so that's one of the things that I work on at the diner religiously, because that's how my brain works.
Right.
So I'm really fortunate to have that skill set from a previous career to apply to something as a restaurant. But that's exactly what people do.
That's awesome. That's good that you have that skill set though, because it's super important to understand how all that's going to affect
Yeah.
your business. And I mean, everything has a ripple effect or a ripple consequence to it. So speaking of marketing, let's talk about marketing. You guys are pretty doggone good at marketing.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm not taking all the credit. She gets a huge amount of credit for social media. She's
hilarious. You're
social
hilarious on social media.
Oh my gosh, well, I'm glad
You
think
always
so.
have some little funny, what is it called? Like a yo-yo or what are those things called? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, it's
Those
your
little-
video.
It's your little videos where you do like the little,
I've heard this term
you know what I'm
before.
talking about. You don't even know.
No, not a sling.
Yeah, a
I know,
slingshot
isn't
or
it as bad
yo-yo.
as like I'm just like I don't
I
know.
don't know. But you do all this funny stuff with it, and you get on there and you talk to people, and people love that.
I don't
They
think
do.
sometimes I realize how much they do until they actually come in and go like, oh my gosh, that was so funny. I just had someone comment today because they here with the military and they move away. Like, we miss you, Tara. I'm like, oh. I'm like, well, watch my videos. Like, I just posted this one.
But you can't watch your video if you don't live here, because then you'll get hungry, and there'll be nothing.
gosh, that is
there'll be
so
nothing you can do
true.
about it.
That is true. I try to be a little real with it too and have a little spin because in life we need some humor.
Absolutely.
To really bring it in. But
absolutely.
I try not to offend too many. I say too many because it always seems like you're going to offend somebody. Like maybe they thought yellow was not a great color. It should have been blue or something. But
If I hear the word triggered one more time, I'm gonna go crazy.
yeah, I bet.
You
You're
just
gonna be triggered. From
you just can't.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, you can't worry about it. And I mean, you two really
so
strike
true.
me as two people who don't spend a lot of time worrying about what other people think. Otherwise,
Actually, I
you
really
would.
don't.
Otherwise, you two wouldn't be here.
She is much better at that than I am. She's farther in the forefront of that business, being on social media and being in front of the house. She has had to deal with way more than I have to deal with, and so I don't sit and worry about it a whole lot. But I also I don't take the heat a third as much as she does.
But sometimes
On some of those things.
there's a little perspective to that too. Like I always think not knowing. So like if you're in the back of the house and you don't know what's going on, but you know she's dealing with something, it's almost where she knows, okay, I realized what it really was. This is not a big deal. Move on. So I think that would be actually harder in your position because you're back there, making sure everything's running like the way it's supposed to.
I think one of the biggest things is when we were doing the commander in beef. Oh my gosh, we were trying to get the president.
So real quick, the commander in beef was so when Donald Trump was coming to visit Great Falls. I went and did some research, and of course, he likes McDonald's. Yeah. So the commander in beef was a double patty burger we made a house-made Thousand Island, and then we put French fries on top and then melted cheese over it. So it was this big, kind of like a Big Mac, but a little cooler. Yeah. It was pretty awesome.
Really good.
So we came up with this, and it was really a crazy time, as everybody knows, and our big thing was it wasn't like we were trying to support Trump. We were actually pretty excited that the president was actually coming to Great Falls, because that's a big deal for your little town. Mm-hmm. He doesn't go to every town, and it's a pretty cool deal, and that's why we called it the Commander Beef, not the Trump Tower is what we were going to originally call it. We're like, no,
that's a whole nother series of all of our names. Like some like, oh, we can't.
Well, you could end up in court right now because they could say that you overinflated the cost of your burger.
No kidding.
I remember we went shopping though, and people were like, "Oh my gosh, Tara, you are such a troublemaker." I'm like, "Oh, what did I do now?" And we got a lot of heat for like that commander and beef, like private messages of people wanting to hurt me, and I'm like,
my gosh.
I saved them just in case like something happened to me. But I remember we were sitting in the diner and we were closed, and I was just like crying because I'm like, it's a hamburger.
We were like, okay. We thought we were going to pull it. He did.
No, he goes to me. He goes, Tara, we got to pull it.
Yeah.
And I got my tears out, and then I'm like, we are not pulling it. I said my grandparents, my dad, myself, we have fought for this country. We have fought for this country, and we are having the commander in beef. This is the president of the United States of America, and we are going to have this burger. And so Jason's like, okay, we will give the protester water bottles.
But how? How innocuous is the commander in beef? Let's just say you went the Trump. Let's just say you went the Trump Tower thing. You couldn't fault you for that. I mean, it's no secret. I'm no fan of Biden whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you, if I had a business and I could come on with a catchy thing off of his name that would bring people in, I would do it in a second. It's business.
That was our second busiest day.
If Joe Biden came to Great Falls to visit everybody, we'd bring back the commander in beef, but then I would research what Joe Biden likes to eat.
Absolutely.
And then we called the Joe Biden, because it's cool to have the president come to Great Falls.
And what if you keep doing that and he decides that Secret Service is going to come in and take over your place and they can eat there?
So we actually did have Secret Service.
It was
because
pretty
I was
exciting.
up there, I was asking questions, like, and then I figured it out. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's going to get here. But there were other loopholes that they came in.
They came in, very incognito, and
they did.
And they came in, and so we ended up.
This is a great story.
Yeah.
So you're just sitting in the diner one day, and in comes Secret Service.
Well, I'm serving people.
Right.
Yeah, she's serving
I'm just
people.
going because nobody knows really who I am.
Well, he was sitting at the bar.
He came in a few times.
He came in a few times a couple days before Trump got here, and so he's just kind of looking around, observing, and so she's getting to kind of know him.
I ask a lot of questions, like.
Yeah, and
where are you from? What are you doing here?
He comes back in and stuff like that. And I don't remember. We got we had someone contact us about having Matt Rosendale eat there.
Yeah.
The day, so he was going to eat there the day Trump showed up, and then he was going from our place up to the airport where Trump was going to have his thing. And so we were trying to can we send a burger up for Trump?
We did.
Put it in a box. We tried everything, and then we ended up, because Rosendale came down there.
They all came in. Yeah, that's why he was here in town.
We got VIP tickets, and so we had to go and have Tara. She went up there. We had to make the decision, okay, who's going to go and see Trump speak, because one of us has to stay at the diner and one has to go. And so we kind of made it the call that Tara was going to go and do that. And so, and again, this is the Commander in Beef was a one-day special, and the diner was unhinged. It was so crazy.
So I was
busy.
even sitting in the VIP section, and anyway, I was hearing them talk about us. like, oh, Roadhouse Diner, blah, blah, blah. Like, not in a bad way. And someone recognized, like, oh, it's Tara. She's right here at the Roadhouse. I'm like, they're like, oh my gosh, did you hear they're going to go out and put signs? I said, I don't know, but there's water bottles for them.
Yeah, we didn't.
Did you get your picture with Donald Trump?
No, I didn't.
Oh, that
no, I
would've been
remember
super
my
cool.
daughter. So she was in law school, and
So you could have been like shaking a hand, holding the.
wouldn't that be fun? Don't you think?
I think it'd
and
be
then
awesome.
his son was there
ketchup
too.
falling
I
on your
don't
shoe.
know.
He loves burgers. He would have had a kick out of the Roadhouse.
He, you know what? That whole party would have had so much fun.
Yeah.
Roadhouse Diner, greatest burger ever.
Yeah, well, we.
there you go. Yes.
I think wasn't
That would have
Tim
been my
Sheehy,
ringtone forever.
I think Tim Sheehy might come in, or
Yeah, so I reached
too.
out. I reached out to
it's
Tim a while ago when he first started his campaign,
Right.
and I had mentioned to him. I said, look, I'm a conservative. I'm not a party line guy, but I'm more conservative minded. I said, but John Tester's done a lot to help out Montana. He's brought a lot of money in. I said, what's your plan to bring money into Montana? I said, that's my concern. Whatever side you're on, that's okay. I'm concerned about you standing up for Montana and bringing money back to Montana. The federal government is giving money away to everybody. Well, you know what? Bring some of that back to Montana.
Right.
And if you can tell me how you're going to do that, then you'll probably have my vote. It's simple as that. I don't try to party line politics like that. So anyway, I talked to him. I sent him a message, and he actually responded back.
He did.
Yeah.
And I told him about our business, and it's veteran owned, and we were local, and just all the talking points. And he said, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna come down there. Your place sounds really interesting." And he had a very nice, warm reply from him, which was nice because
awesome.
he's obviously not so far up the ladder that his secretary's responding. He responded.
Well, and I think what's unfortunate sometimes is people are like, oh, if you're this or you're that, then we don't like you. And it's like, you know what? Can I be a Democratic Republican? Like,
Right.
can I see like both
yeah.
sides of the story? And can we just take care of each other and be a community? And
I've invited.
love each other?
It's
I mean,
funny
I
you
don't
say
know.
that. That is the entire premise of this podcast. I am so sick and tired of all the division.
Right.
And all I call it tribalization of America, right? We all tribe up, and I'm in this tribe, you're in that tribe, and we don't talk to each other. I mean, it's so stupid. And it was crazy. Like when I ran for sheriff last time, even though I'd switched parties, I still got tons of money from Democrats. I still got tons of support. And then there were those people who were like, I voted for you, but don't tell anybody. Which is like whatever. But I mean, and I don't care. But the reason they have to say that is because people in their own party, their own tribe, whatever you want to call it, will be mad at them.
Right.
And I'm going to have a ton of people from the left, that far left. I don't care. They're going to come on here because the whole premise of this podcast is this. How does that make our community better?
Absolutely.
I don't care if you believe in, I don't care what let's say you believe, let's go really far. Let's say you believe in communism. Okay, great. Come on here, take 3 hours and explain to me how that idea would make our community better.
Right.
I am sincerely interested.
Yeah.
I think we all are. It's
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I've invited John Tester to come in, and I've invited Steve Bullock to come in. I'll invite all of our political leaders. Which it's not like you got an invitation from Jason Beam. I gotta get right over there. It's not like a big deal. But if I have Matt Rosendale comes in, and he comes in when he comes and visits occasionally, and that's when I get reminded. I'm like, I gotta drop Tester later. The Democrats won't come in and eat because I think that they view the Roadhouse like, Roadhouse had the Trump burger and Rosendale was there, and they get this mindset like, we're a Republican place, and we're not. It doesn't matter who you are when you walk in.
But here's the funny part about that, okay? That I can't wrap my head around. That it just drives. I mean, I'm very conservative. I make that pretty known. I'm no secret about it.
Yeah.
But like, some of the favorite cities that I love to go visit are extremely liberal. And one of the reasons I love them is because of the liberal culture and all the things that they brought in, and that, you know, because they're usually college towns and fun stuff like that. Yep. You know, I still, when I kid growing up, I listened to Dave Matthews. It's an extremely liberal oriented group. I still listen to them. I mean, I like what they do. You know, you were in art. There's a lot of liberal people in art, right? I don't care. I want to enjoy. So I've always said this for years, and I wish people kind of understand it. Both tribes, if you will, because I think that I use that term because I kind of mocking them both. Yeah, they both bring something extremely enriched and positive to our world.
100%.
And the problem is when they make us tribal and they make us, you know, you can't be a, you know, pro-life Democrat. Right. Or a, you know, anti-gun Republic. They're like, oh no, you can't be that. Then you're not really in our tribe. Yeah, and it's terrible. Yeah. It's ruining our country, and I worry it has an effect on small business. That's
going into the nursing aspect of it. You know, we don't pick and choose our patients.
Right.
You know what? I always look at them like, you have a heart, right? I have a heart. You know what? It's okay. Like let's take care of each other. Let's do this together. Let's do this the easy way, not the hard way. You know, and you're going to have your beliefs based on what has happened in your life. You're going to talk to me about it. We're going to figure this out together because now I see your perspective. Let me understand this. And I bet you we're going to both be in for the same outcome. Mm-hmm. We just have different paths. And that's why it's so important to be open and to listen to people.
Well, and everything comes full circle, too. Mm-hmm. I mean, right now we're trying to go to war with like every country in the world right now, and from the party in charge that used to march and be anti-war, and so and it's just everything's come full circle. Yeah, and I'm not. Yeah, I'm not getting involved in that level of politics. I don't care. But what I'm saying though is it's like you have to keep an open mind because and then the other thing is what's popular today won't be tomorrow.
Yeah. And a counterculture in the 70s and 80s is 180 degrees off of counterculture now.
Right. Absolutely.
Now counterculture is conservativeness, wholesomeness. Right. Where that was the exact opposite in 1970, 1980 against people going against Ronald Reagan. That was the counterculture. Absolutely. And now it's completely flipped around.
It 100% was. This is a great topic. We're going to take a quick break and check in with our supporters. Your health journey is as unique as you are. The Peak Great Falls has everything you need for your fitness journey. They are your partner in wellness with a top-notch facility, an expert staff, and a very welcoming vibe. Locally owned, community-driven. Join them today. Everybody needs a good insurance plan. Whether it's for home or auto insurance, check out Heinbaugh Agency. Eric Heinbaugh is a local agent focused only on customer service, not sales. The Double Barrel Cafe is all about you, the amazing people of Cascade County. With every purchase you make, they give back to our community. Every bite and sip fuels their mission. Let's make a positive change, one cup and one bite at a time, because the Double Barrel is not just a cafe, they're building a better community. If you haven't noticed lately, Cascade County is booming, and the choice for all your construction needs is Builders First Source. They even have an automated home builders solution for all of your construction needs. Go to 826 Northwest Bypass in Great Falls and check them out today. Are you looking to replace those floors in your home? Or maybe you're doing new construction? The place I trust is Contract Flooring Carpet One. This is a locally owned and operated business here in Great Falls, and they are committed to serving you and giving you the very best prices and the very best product and service. Go see Contract Flooring Carpet One today. When deciding who I would trust for the technology component of this podcast, the choice was simple: Information Systems of Montana. Whether purchasing products for business or when I had them build me a new MacBook to catch child predators, they delivered, creating a solution for my exact needs. Contact Information Systems of Montana today. If you're passionate about firearms and the Second Amendment like I am, one of the best places in all of Montana to go is Mitchell Supply. Jim and Tammy Mitchell have been running this gun store for decades. They're major supporters of the Second Amendment, and they're major supporters of our community, and obviously they're supporters of this podcast. For all your firearms needs, go check out Mitchell Supply today. Yeah, so during the commercial break, you guys asked, like, kind of how we came up with this idea and what was the premise behind it. And so we want to provide public education, number one. We want to promote our community. And that's probably my passion. Do you two remember when I was doing like the agricultural Facebook posts on the sheriff's office page?
Yes.
So I was doing those and I liked them and they were fun. And we only did like 3 or 4.
Right.
But this idea came up from that. And I'm like, we're not seeing enough from these people.
Right.
We're getting a picture of them standing in their living room, a picture of a few of their cows, right? Maybe some cookies on a plate. And then we're trying to write this like quick, 'cause no one reads, right?
Right.
No one sits, when you write a Facebook post this long, like three people will read it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, we have to switch formats.
Right.
We have to go to a format where people are. And then it also came into the thing, we can raise money for our foundation through it.
Absolutely.
And not in a way where you're stuck going to another dinner fundraising event when we get into that season. And no knock to them.
Right.
And I go and support a ton of those. And I'm not, it's just I didn't want to lump one more on.
Want to do something different.
Something different.
Yeah.
Something
Creative.
fun. Yeah. And just, and it's a huge opportunity because like I look at it like this, I'm here because of all the great people in our community. So it's cool to like flip the card back and highlight them and everything they do.
Yeah.
So
And it's, I mean, this is kind of fun because we're talking. We're not just, stumping about the Roadhouse. You're asking about the process and, we're talking about the food and the agriculture and we're talking about things that people find interesting, not just blindly showcasing the Roadhouse. Well, which is cool.
But also too, I want people to get to know you guys.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you having us here.
I want people to get to know that there's human beings that exist behind this business and that you guys are real human beings that are there every day. Well, if you guys have done anything, like I've already heard rumors about this podcast, like people are like, oh, the negative people, Jesse's just using it as a bunch of way to make a bunch of money. And we're like, no, I don't make any money off this. It all goes to the people and to the foundation. It doesn't go to anything else. And people probably start, Tara and Jason are making $1 million every 6 months in there. They're just killing it.
Millions.
Yes. But I mean, you always get that.
We do.
You get the haters who are like, oh. And,
Well, they do see me flying my helicopter to work every day.
well, there you go.
On the landing pad.
Yeah, on my
you land on the roof
landing pad
with
of the roof.
with your briefcase.
I would say it's okay because we know who we are, and here we do things to make money. I mean, we do have the Roadhouse to
absolutely.
make money.
Absolutely.
We want to pay our employees a wage that they can personally finance in a positive way, right?
Right.
Because we have to be responsible. And how are we spending our money? What are we spending our money on? How can we pull back? How can we make it last longer? But we want our employees to have a wage that they have the opportunity to do that.
Absolutely.
And I think that if everybody just stopped and really thought processed it, they would go, oh, this makes sense.
Yeah.
This makes sense. I get this. So I'm going to support them, even if it is in a shout out or a share of the podcast to your Facebook page or your Instagram or your TikTok. Which is, I guess, is a whole nother thing with the TikTok.
I don't have TikTok because it's illegal, or something like that. So I don't have it.
So
But it is hard. It is hard to swing people out of that negative mentality that everybody is.
Right.
Everybody's in. It's hard. It affects me. It's not like I'm some pious guy on the top of the hill. I'll come home some night after reading a couple headlines on the news, and I'll rant for 15 minutes about something I have no control over.
Yeah.
And it's just.
I'll be like, look at this tomato that my garden got.
We're inundated with negativity, and
But if
it's
we
really hard to avoid that.
We have to turn that into a positive, though.
Well, and that's going to be hard on you too, because you two are very optimistic. Just sitting here listening to you guys talk and listening to what you're doing. I mean, I don't disagree that you do, but you guys are really living it.
Yeah.
And I can just feel that coming out. So I just get frustrated with people trying to find a way to lessen somebody or something in our community.
Right. Let's build them up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's you're helping out a community.
Well,
and
yeah, and Tara was a nurse. Her job was to identify and help people get better. And to a lesser extent, this is not the same, but I mean, I was an instructor at college, so my job was to teach people my craft and make them into the next generation of graphic designers or advertisers or whatever. So we both have this approach of when we talk to people that we're trying to help them out, make them feel better, show them something so that they can improve. I mean, that's just kind of our general personality based on our previous professions. I'd go farther and say Tara was probably hardwired like that.
Oh, educating people is so important. So I don't enable. Like, let me teach you. And I saw some people get so frustrated with me. I'm like, I believe in you. And I know you can do that, so I'm going to show you, and, so then you show them, and then they get to do it, and then they get to teach it, and then you retain it. And I have my dad, too, who has served in Vietnam and Iraq, and he was the one that really was just like, Tara, it's okay. Like, we've got a lot here to be grateful for. Yeah. That if you just stop and look, like what we have, you don't know how bad it is out there until you live it and you're there. Like, it's not that bad.
No, for sure.
That's a good.
You realize that all the haters on here right now, because you were used to be a nurse, are like, they're gonna be like, yeah, and now they're making hamburgers and clogging everybody's arteries, so they go back to the ER.
Oh my gosh!
And she's in a repeat cycle.
It is so funny. They actually have accused me of being in with a cardiologist. So if you're out there,
the artery clogging people.
Serious?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes. I'm
It's
like,
an artery.
do you understand how the food process works through your body?
Do you offer a veggie burger?
I do.
Do
I
you?
do. Yes.
There you go.
I make
See?
the black bean burger, and I do
Healthy-
it from scratch. I'm the only one.
Healthy, safe opportunity.
It is. You
right
can
there.
do a burger bowl. You can do the black bean on it with salad. Like, you don't have to have French fries.
This reminds me of COVID. This little conversation. You know why? It's like, let's shut all the businesses down so the virus doesn't spread. Well, or why don't we just leave them all open and people can make a personal choice?
That's
It's kinda
exactly right.
Do you want a hamburger or do you want a veggie burger? Well, that's your personal choice.
You know what? It absolutely is. And, I just thought, wait a minute, we're shutting everything down? I'm like, do you know how sick I've been working with sick people in the ER where my tonsils were swollen? And we would be sitting there going, you really should stay home. Well, I'm not going to stay home. And then you're like, no, you really should because you're not feeling well. Yeah. And, you don't want to spread this. And nobody would, they didn't want to listen to that. They had concert tickets somewhere. They got to be somewhere, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, you're staying home. You're forced to stay home. You're like, wait, huh? I'm like, well, we were trying to tell people maybe they should stay home when they were sick, but they didn't want to. But now we have to. And my brain was just trying to process all that like everyone else was.
That was rough for everybody. Yeah.
It was. And that's when you really started seeing that separation and division. You're
I have a conspiracy. I'm totally convinced that was somehow the way that the deep state wanted to divide us. And so they could start doing whatever else they want to do to us because it was very...
Jason doesn't agree with you.
It was very it just appeared very purposeful. And my frustration too is I remember when the vaccines came out, remember? And they're like, okay, all this just has to last till we get the vaccines. Yeah. Then they came out and then they kept it up. And you were like, stop, enough is enough.
Like if you want to get the vaccine, that's fine. That's your choice.
And no, it wasn't that I disagreed. I was thinking.
I meant to say that you agreed with him. That's what I meant to say.
Oh well, no, I was thinking of something that my dad told me a long time ago. So I was really big into the JFK assassination conspiracy stuff. I mean, I was huge. I had a huge library of stuff. I collected newspapers from that day. I had a couple hundred books. I was really into that whole thing for, 2 or 3 years. I mean, I was just like, that was my hobby. And I'd have these discussions with my dad, and my dad would say, do you think that there's anyone in the government in groups of 3 or more that are smart enough to keep all that stuff a secret? He said, you're assigning an intelligence to a group of people that just don't have it. And that always rings in my ear when I think of, not that I don't believe there's things going on in the government, but I'm like, I just don't know if all those people are smart enough to forward think about that stuff. I just don't know.
Or do we as a society believe whatever we're fed?
Yeah, and totally.
So
and
there's
we're
two paradigms
we're
swinging at the
totally
same time.
manipulated.
And that fear,
Yeah.
trying, the fear. I mean, because sometimes I remember we were the only ones out because we never shut down. We did to-goes. Like we were like,
Oh yeah.
we had bills to pay.
we had
remember
bills
I,
to pay.
I,
There's no
I ate
shutting
a lot
down.
of your burgers to go during that time.
Yeah, I'd be out grocery shopping in the morning,
oh my
and it
gosh,
was
there's
just
nobody there.
It was weird. I'm out at 6:30, 7 o'clock, which there's not a lot of people out at that time
Yeah.
anyway. It's just me. Driving to town, going to Albertsons, going to Sam's, working my way back, and I'm like, I'm the only person on the road. It was weird.
I think it's just very interesting on the medical side of it too, with viruses and how they evolve with the evolution of how it all happens. And if you go back and you read the history and you learn about that, then it maybe makes more sense. And you go, oh, okay, I see how this is developing. And, it's like antibiotics. If penicillin would cure everything, we wouldn't have all these other
Right.
ones, right?
Absolutely.
So it's really hard for me to see people fighting because I just want to hug everybody
Right.
and give them a hamburger.
Did you guys, was that financially, did that kick your butt during COVID?
Financially it wasn't, but it was.
I think it's kind of.
It was long hours, and we were freaked out. We're like, I mean,
We didn't know what was coming next.
They shut down the dining room, so we didn't know. So we were just, it was like a business adrenaline. Like you got up every day and you worked and you made however many burgers you could because you had no idea if you were going to be open the next week, and that was scary for us because. We were in business. That was like year 5.
It's just the two of us. Like we don't have business partners. Like we're it.
We don't have family members.
No.
I mean, our family's older, but we don't have kids here that can help.
Right.
So
It's us.
it was just us. So it was kind of freaky. Where
I remember though with the staff, the front of the house, I remember just like telling them they couldn't work. Like I broke down. I said, "I'm so sorry, you guys. We don't need you." Like. How do you do that when these are like I still feel like that emotion of that day. And I remember like right before that, I got this award, from.
the Aspire Award.
No, there was the Inspire because it was a business under 5. And I thought, how am I even being inspirational by saying, I'm so sorry, you don't have a job right now. We don't have customers. And I just remember that power because I'm all such an advocate of like, let's work, let's take care of people, to say, I'm so sorry. I don't know what's going to happen.
We were fortunate. We did a lot of takeout. We got a lot of takeout support. That was when we were doing.
We use you guys all the time.
I came up with the mashup idea. So there was some other businesses that were also. I don't want to say they were struggling, but everybody was in the same boat. Like you were open, you didn't know if you were going to sell stuff, you didn't know what was going on. So we got together with like Teriyaki Madness and Clark and Louie's and Smoked and Dante's.
Yeah.
And so we would take one of their signature ingredient, like Dante's was their what's their bread sauce?
Oh yeah,
The marinara. Was it the marinara?
Yeah, they had a sauce, and I can't remember what it is. But anyway, so we went to each of these people. We said, "Hey, what's your signature ingredient that you use?" And so they would give it to us. And so then we made a burger. We would buy their in the block, like we did their their lobster mac.
Yeah.
So we would buy
a good one.
however many portions we thought we'd make, and then we'd make a special, and then we would use that to promote the block.
Nice.
And say, hey, the block's open and we're using their lobster mac, but if you want lobster mac, go to the block. And we
Right.
did that with Clark and Louie's.
But remember, I also had him come in and do videos with me. So like Aaron from Teriyaki Madness, we had this like ruler because wasn't it like 6 feet?
Yes.
So he was like, Tara, stay away from me.
Yeah.
The 6 foot rule. I'm like, so we had a little fun with that.
We had fun with that. We
tried.
Yeah, we thought we have all these followers. And how do we
everybody's engaged on the internet during this time.
Yeah, and so we wanted to help let people know that we're open, but hey, Dante's is open or the block is open. Go down there and get a sandwich. And so it gave us a lot of opportunity to work with people, but it was a freaky time because you you couldn't. We're a sit-down restaurant,
Right.
and we couldn't have anybody come in. But man, the community came out and helped us out with
They did.
to-goes and takeout. And
Do you remember
that
they'd be
worked
like,
out.
we're in the white Suburban, and you go out there and like Danica and I were like, oh my gosh, you know how many white Suburbans there are in Great Falls, Montana? Like, so that was kind of the challenge then, was like trying to figure out whose order went with
We managed
whose.
to preserve a lot of our front of house servers because there was so much takeout and curbside.
Right.
So they would just be up there, and instead of going to
have
the
'em run 'em
customer's
out.
table, you know,
Right.
they're running out to the customer's car.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
That's awesome.
try to make
Yeah.
the best of the
Yeah.
situation.
You guys were involved in a major pedophile sting one time.
We were.
Yes, you were. Yeah, you guys. Look at them. They're like, we were. This is awesome. we ate. We sat in a little tiny hotel room on a stakeout while we caught pedophiles in a Roadhouse.
Oh my God.
Nice.
Oh my gosh. I was like sitting there going,
I know that was.
Please tell us the whole story now.
Yeah, I just waited. Yeah, we
Please
did.
make-
We
please
did.
Make it, please make that a
There
public
was
statement.
literally we were at the
my
O'Hare Motor
gosh.
Inn, and there was probably, I don't know, 20 of us in this little tiny hotel room.
my God.
And then we
Holy
had an
cows.
adjoining room next door, and we were, and then we'd order Roadhouse and eat it. So,
Wow. No,
Nice.
I did
Yes,
not know that.
yes.
See, there's a lot of stories out there
a lot of
that
good stories.
Tastes
yes.
good, fights crime.
There you go. There you go. There you go. I would recommend against doing like a pedophile burger, though.
Yeah, no,
that might not go over
Against-
so well.
I don't.
Doug, please.
I don't
Yeah.
think that one. Yeah, the Doug is
Yeah, the-
probably.
The
Yeah,
Doug.
the Doug.
We could do the Doug.
So thank you guys so much for coming on. I really
Yeah.
appreciate you.
Absolutely.
And
Thank you.
Tim, I'm hungry.
I'm hungry too.
So I'm
Yeah.
gonna take you to the Roadhouse, and we're gonna go have a burger.
I love that idea.
And we're gonna do that. And
Cool.
thank you guys so
Yeah,
much.
absolutely.
Thank
God bless you both.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you
you
Thank you
very
for
much.
everything that you
It's a
do for our
pleasure.
community. You guys
Yeah.
are awesome.
And
And to
Likewise
you
to you.
all as
Keep up.
well, okay? I mean, I saw you guys working in the ER, and like, you guys are like cool as cucumbers, and I was always so impressed. I'm like, how do they do that?
Well, I'll tell you, it's really simple. Do you want to know how I've survived the ER all these years?
Absolutely.
I have a rule. And Adam will leave us if he's out there somewhere, an old highway patrolman who I worked alone with back when I was a deputy and first started in Stillwater County, and we'd have dinner together every night. And he told me one day, he said, you want to know what the secret to life is? And I was like, yeah, sure. And he's like, never, ever, ever give a nurse a ticket. And he goes, he said, ever. He goes, you do not give nurses tickets. Doctors, they're fine. They're fair game. They got plenty of money. They probably deserve it. He said, but you never give a nurse a ticket. He goes, if you get shot and you're wheeled into the ER and you got blood pouring out of you and all this other stuff, he goes, the nurses are the ones that are going to save your life, and the nurses are the ones that are going to take care of you.
brother.
And he goes, but just be careful, because if you wrote a nurse a bunch of tickets, it might not go real well for you. So, true story. This is a true story. My wife's pregnant with our second kid, our daughter.
Yay.
And
Congratulations.
it's like 2000. Oh gosh, 2007, 2000. Yeah,
Oh,
2007.
I thought you were telling me she's
No,
pregnant
no,
now. I was
no,
like,
no,
oh my
sorry,
gosh,
sorry.
yay, congrats.
No. We're past that now.
Okay, 2007.
So 2007, and I'm working patrol as a police officer here at City Great Falls, and in that week I had stopped like 3 nurses in a row.
Oh, jeez.
Like the week. No, I shouldn't say the week. Probably the month before my daughter's born.
Yeah.
So she gets this horrible virus and is really sick when she's a little baby. Everything turned out okay, but it was touch and go there for a long time. And all 3 of those nurses attended to us, and they all remembered me.
Oh my gosh.
And they were awesome. And I was like sitting there, and I'm going, and my wife looks at me and she's like, I'm so glad you have that rule.
Well, you know what's funny? Now that you mentioned that, I was after I worked and I was on that river road.
I was thinking about that.
I was on the river road, and it was in the, 3 o'clock in the morning or something. And anyway, I'm getting pulled over, and I'm like, what? So I pull over, and I'm like, he's like, do you know how fast you're going? I'm like, no, I'm just going home. He's like, well, where were you? I'm like, I'm a nurse in the ER. He's like, okay, he runs over, and he's like, well, the speed limit is this and this and this, and have a good night. So I never used that road again after that. I was like, I thought, oh my gosh, like
No, it's a rule though. I mean, you can't race nurses' tickets. It's
Yeah,
bad juju.
No, nurses, I would not recommend like speeding,
No,
hightailing it at all.
They still have to live.
Yeah, so they still gotta obey the law.
Thank you.
Yeah,
All right,
thanks,
thank
guys.
you.
Yeah, God
Yeah.
bless. Thanks again.
Yep.
You as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a great one. Hey, everybody. Jesse Slaughter with the Pursuit Podcast. And we really appreciate the amazing support already that this channel has received. Our social media is blowing up. Everywhere we look, people are liking and clicking and commenting. But what we really need you to do is subscribe to our Facebook page and follow us on Spotify. That's what drives this channel. That's what's going to keep this channel going forever. Tim and Ben are behind the scenes doing tireless editing, working on this to make this come out the way it does, of this high quality product that it is. So please go in there, click subscribe, click follow, and make sure that this channel sticks around for a long time, because we truly believe it's doing a lot of great things for our community. But there's many, many other people out there who we need to support. So follow and subscribe today. Thank you.